Well, joining us right now, that's his walk-on music. He requires it. It's in his contract. Robert Thomson is with us. You know him as Dr. Gridlock from the Washington Post, and good day to have him here because we got to talk about this thing that happened yesterday, this press conference that Metro held. My jaw fell open. I got to tell you, Dr. Gridlock, when I read that this derailment that was such an inconvenience was caused by a problem that was identified almost a full month before, and it was something known as a code black problem. And at Metro, code black means this is a severe problem. It needs to be fixed right now, but they didn't fix it.
No, they didn't. And the problem was actually really simple. The tracks were too far apart. And the problem was detected by this fancy modern vehicle that Metro bought, and when it bought it, it touted it as this great advance in safety, but it's only an advance in safety if you actually use it.
Well, yeah, but they did use it. They used it in July. They determined they had a problem, and they ignored it, and we saw what happened on Friday.
Exactly. There's no follow-up to the use of the fancy vehicle. They should have taken the track out of service immediately. Now, this we're not talking about the main line. The derailment happened at an interlock, at a switch where trains cross over the track. But it should have come out of service immediately, and it should have been promptly fixed.
All right, but so yesterday, the interim CEO of Metro had this to say. Take a listen.
I want to take this opportunity to again and again apologize to our customers for the multiple disruptions.
You know, it seems like we keep getting apologies and we keep getting apologies and we keep getting apologies, but it doesn't seem to be getting any better. What's going on there? Why can't they start to get this system under control?
Well, I think one thing, before they start to fire anybody for problems like this, they need to hire one person. They need to hire a new general manager. The general manager left in January, and they still don't have somebody in place who can make permanent decisions on policy and personnel. That's what they need to do first and foremost.
Well, why can't they do that? Why can't they
squabbling among board members?
Really? Hold it. Really? Because it would. I sort of suspected that it was somebody said, I don't want that job. What a mess. But you're saying that there's some tension on the board that's keeping them from getting on with it.
Well, it certainly is a mess, and if you were a top transit official in the U.S., you'd want to think long and hard about taking on this challenge. You might say to yourself, well, how much worse can it possibly get? But the board members have been battling over exactly what type of general manager they want. It's kind of a Goldilocks thing going on. Some of them want a turnaround specialist, a financial expert who can straighten out Metro's fiscal problems, and others want a traditional transit expert who knows how to run railroads. So they've been battling over that, and it's like, okay, enough isn't enough. Let's just move on and get the best person available out there.
So I got to ask, you said yesterday that there are going to be some repercussions after their investigation, disciplinary action, quite possibly somebody might get fired. Do you know at this point, was anyone fired based on the negligence that was discovered over the L'Enfant Plaza fire that actually left one person dead and 80 in the hospital?
I don't know of anybody who was fired over that. Keep in mind on that one, guys, that the investigation that isn't done. We don't really have a report from the National Transportation Safety Board about exactly what happened and who it is we should blame.
Well, we do know, based on the preliminary report, that they didn't have the correct insulation on the cabling when it was installed and maintained, and that contributed to the condition that started the smoke in the first place.
Yes.
And somebody's got to be in charge of that kind of thing.
You'd hope so. But for a lot of these issues, I think that in addition to the personnel, you don't just want to fire a score of people. You want to know what it was, what was the flaw in the chain of command that left a particular problem undetected? Why wasn't it fixed? Why wasn't it fixed right? Why wasn't it double checked and made absolutely sure that it had been fixed right? That's not just a matter of kicking out particular individuals, satisfying as that may be. You want to make sure you've got, well, I'm afraid what they call a safety culture in place. They keep using that term, and I'm not sure it means what they think it means. There's got to be an actual safety culture in place where everybody's on the same page. Everybody wants the same safe result for the passengers.
Well, I don't know. When you come from the business sector, Dr. Gridlock, there are quality systems put in place. There are procedures put in place. If they're not followed, then someone should be fired. And if they're not put in place, then someone should be fired. You know what makes me do a really good job every day? The threat that if I don't do a good job, I'll get fired. And I tend to think you probably have the same work ethic too, Dr. Gridlock. Why can't we apply that to government work?
It should certainly be. That's I got no argument whatsoever with that, and it clearly isn't something that's happened at Metro.
All right.
Yeah. So do you see them make? What's the timeline on getting this interim guy or the new guy in? Do they have any stated timeline? Or are they just going to fiddle around and twiddle their thumbs until this another disaster happens?
I believe they're very hopeful they'll have somebody in place by the end of the year.
But at the end of the year.
End of the year. And also in the immediate concern over these tracks, what assurance do riders have now, or did they give any assurance yesterday, that this same problem that they knew about last month that caused the derailment on Friday, that hasn't also, that condition doesn't exist elsewhere on the line right now?
I'm not sure I'd accept any promise from them. However, the interim general manager, Jack Requa, whose voice we just heard talking yesterday, he has ordered an immediate track inspection to ensure that there is no other place in the system where either this problem exists or has remained unaddressed if it does exist.
So the assurance is that they're going to go check to make sure it doesn't exist, but they didn't give us an assurance that it doesn't exist.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
And no assurance that if they found something, they would follow up on it.
Well,
or that there's not some other type of problem of a different nature that they have yet to detect.
Right. That'll be the next Metro disaster. Oh God.
Well, Dr. Gridlock, Robert Thomson from the Washington Post, always a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
At least it does keep you employed, right, Dr. Thomson?
I'm hopeful that this is my personal full employment program.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.